You're listening to WPPM LP in Philadelphia and watching live on PhillyCAM TV on Comcast and Verizon. I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber, and on today's People Power Lunch Hour, we're going to be speaking about food inequality and measures that community groups here in Philadelphia are taking to give access to Philadelphians for healthy foods. With us today, we have Evan Ehlers. He's the founder and director of Sharing Access, a community food sharing program. And I also have with me from the Philadelphia Food Trust Healthy Corner Store Initiative, Edgardo and Alvaro Drake-Cortes. We're going to talk about the programs and how they can solve food inequality here in Philadelphia. Stay tuned for all that and more in the first half hour. And in the second half hour, we'll be talking with Joe Cox, and he is the founder and director of the Philadelphia PMA bike ride, and he's also running for city council. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to the People Power Lunch Hour show. Again, I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber, and today we're talking about food inequality and steps that we can take to give people access to healthy foods. With me, I have some amazing organizers who are doing really great work here in the city to solve this problem. I have Evan Ehlers. He is the director and co-founder of Sharing Access, a university-based nonprofit that helps students share excess food with community members in need. And I also have Alvaro Drake-Cortes and Edgardo, and they're from the Philadelphia Food Trust Healthy Corner Store Initiative. And this initiative builds relationships with store owners and asks them to make gradual changes with support and training to incorporate healthy foods. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start with Evan Ehlers, who's the director of Sharing Access. And this is a really interesting nonprofit startup organization that came out of Drexel University. And he's been working in the community to collect donations and find ways to eliminate food waste and get that food to the community. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about how you got the idea for this program. I know it started with the amount of university meals that students have, and many of them not being used or go to waste. When you noticed that, what happened?
Yeah, so I was actually going through finals at the end of my third year at Drexel, and it was about 2 days left in the quarter when I realized that I still had over 50 meal swipes left in my dining account. And this is a very common thing for a lot of students to have this many meal swipes left over. And something honestly just didn't feel right about leaving them there, knowing that when I would go home, they would essentially disappear. So the next day, I decided to go into the dining hall with these two large plastic bins. I just swiped my meal card until I had nothing left. I took all those meals, put them in the back of my car, and then I drove to Center City and just gave them all out. And it was probably the single best day of my entire life, the most transformative day that I had ever experienced. And, all I knew was that I wanted to do this again, and I wanted to help my fellow students share their food excess as well.
But it didn't end there, did it? You were part of the entrepreneurship program at Drexel and got the idea to maybe turn this into an actual nonprofit organization. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate to be in the Close School of Entrepreneurship at Drexel, and I had an awesome opportunity to actually go through what's called the Entrepreneurship Co-op. And this is where they actually fund students up to $15,000 and give them 6 months free to start and launch a business of their own. And I was really fortunate to do that. And we started by addressing student food insecurity and working with the university to figure out how we could allow students to donate their meal swipes to other students that are suffering from food insecurity. But then further over time, we saw that there was a big opportunity to actually help the outside community with the amount of food waste that there is in the city. Everyone kind of knows this, the statistics in our industry where 1/3 of all food goes to waste, if not more, roughly 63 million tons of food. I mean, that's enough to fill over 700 football stadiums from the ground to the very top. And we started realizing that, hey, we have time and availability to actually transport this food. The only thing that's missing is sort of that connector between point A and point B of there being excess food and then people who need it. So we also thought, hey, students can actually fill in that gap and help to transport this food to local hunger relief organizations all over the city.
Yeah, so this summer you expanded it beyond students and launched Community Access Program to receive and redistribute unused food from major food providers like grocery stores, restaurants, universities. And you've been building a client base to support large-scale redistribution of food between the places with food like Trader Joe's and places that could redistribute the food like First Stop Recovery House and St. Francis Inn in Kensington. What's that been like, expanding and working with all these partners?
Yeah, so it's been an amazing experience. We really have only been around since April of 2018, so we still haven't even hit our 1 year mark. And our food rescue has only been around for about 6 months, and in about 6 months we've transported a little over 22,000 pounds of food, just with about 5 drivers. Really, the bulk of it being done by 3 drivers. So it's been awesome, and we have a lot of hope for the future of what this looks like when we expand this to other universities and get other students involved, because really the only thing that stops us from growing more is our capacity. So we're really working on building our capacity. There's definitely a lot of challenges. Driving in Philadelphia is a huge challenge in its own. So we are overcoming those challenges and really just thinking hard every single day about how we can help more people.
That's really excellent. Thanks for sharing your story. Now I'd like to go to our other guests, Edgardo and Alvaro. They're from the Philadelphia Food Trust, and they're part of the Healthy Corner Store initiative. So in 2004, the Food Trust identified corner stores as potential partners in the effort to improve access to healthy, affordable foods in underserved communities. And so they created the Healthy Corner Store initiative to support corner store owners committed to increasing the healthy food inventory in their stores and to encourage customers to make healthier choices. So, I'm Latina, and I grew up going to corner stores or bodegas or papi stores, as they're sometimes called. I don't normally think of them as places where to get healthy foods and produce. Tell us more about some of the work that you do.
Well, I guess I'll take that, Edgardo. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I myself grew up in a neighborhood where we were sort of subject to picking up and purchasing our food from a corner store, from a bodega. So I understand this sort of environment and background. And this happens in areas where there are no grocery stores, where folks are sort of forced and limited to what is available, oftentimes non-nutritious foods that are high in sodium, high in sugar. And it's unfortunate. I am very happy to be working for an organization that actually works to increase access to fresh produce and healthy foods in our communities, in our impoverished communities. And if I could just back up and just share a little bit of additional information on our organization. So the Food Trust is an organization that has been operating for 25 years, and we are a nonprofit that has been started out actually as setting up a farmer's market for folks to have access to fresh produce in South Philadelphia. And over time, over those 25 years, we've grown to actually institute and start up and run 25 farmers markets throughout the city, again, targeting those impoverished communities. What we do then is we also work with the community to institute pop-up markets so that community members are activated and are vested in their access for healthy foods. And so we work with them to identify key locations where these pop-up markets can be established, and then we help them, support them in those efforts.
That's wonderful. Edgardo, what's your role in all of this?
So I work with the Healthy Corner Store program also, and my role is directly working with the store owners to getting them on board to supporting our programming. Also having direct connections with the store owners, and also talking with their staff as well to explain our programming so that everyone's familiar with the work that we do and the work that we're trying to do inside the stores. So definitely like getting people motivated is part of my job.
And as it relates to the Healthy Corner Store initiative, so our organization has worked, as you mentioned, we've identified the corner store as that key location for intervention. And so we've worked with up to 650 stores to provide them with technical assistance and understanding of business practices that will help the store owners identify the right products for their customer base, understand how to manage them, how to select, how to maintain them, how to market them and promote them so that they are successful in the sales of those items, but also that they are successful in their serving to the community. We also provide them with equipment that supports the displaying and the availability of these foods. So through different grants, we acquire equipment for our stores that enable them to display fresh produce and have them available for their customers. In addition to that, we make our stores into sort of hubs of activity to serve the community. So we have, for example, a Hearts March program that delivers nutrition education in stores. When we work in stores to deliver, to set up equipment and increase availability, what that does, of course, is that it creates the produce there, or it creates a home for the produce to be available for folks. However, a lot of times folks don't have a clear understanding of what to do with the produce once they buy it. And so what we do is we deliver nutrition education that enables those customers to understand how to prepare it, how to make a meal out of fresh produce in order to have a healthier diet. And in addition to that, in selected stores, we also provide health screenings so that our customers or the customers of the stores that we work with are better served in understanding what risks they are exposed to through their dietary choices.
Is there some resistance, Edgardo, that you encounter from people maybe not wanting to do that or seeing it as extra work? And if so, how do you convince them?
Definitely. I mean, there's always store owners that may not believe that this is the right way for their business to go, especially considering the fact that a lot of them have been in this industry for quite some years and have a format that they're utilizing that has worked for them in the past. Mm-hmm. But then there's also a lot of owners who are willing and anxious to actually work with us with our work. A lot of owners as well have mentioned that, at the end of the day, too, it's all about supply and demand as well. So they're supplying the demand for their products, and at the same time, too, there are risks involved with them introducing new products into the store. So that's where we try to help set the playing field and establishing a better placement of these products inside the stores, doing promotions inside the stores. So we also target our work in terms of like an economic benefit for the store owners as well, because if it doesn't make dollars, then it doesn't make sense regardless of what industry you're in.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Again, I mean, they're ultimately trying to make money. So if there can be an economic argument that's also tied to social responsibility, everybody wins, right?
Sure.
So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to hear from some voices of people talking about food justice. And if you're just tuning in, you're watching and listening to the People Power Lunch Hour show here at PhillyCAM. And we're broadcasting live from our Center City studios. And we're talking about food inequality. And we're featuring two really great programs here in the city, Sharing Excess. And I have with me in the studio the founder and director, Evan Ehlers. And we're also talking about the Healthy Corner Store Initiative, a program out of the Philadelphia Food Trust. And with me, I have Edgardo and Alvaro Drake-Cortes. We're going to talk more with them. And later on in the show, we're going to talk with City Council candidate and PMA Bike Ride founder, Joe Cox. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Recently, I'm sort of in between vegan and vegetarian and cutting out some fat and still trying to stay with the nutrition and the different proteins and foods that I need by picking up on other foods as well.
But as I went through my journey in life, and when I got involved with this type of work, I found a way for me to start eating healthy. In fact, doing this work is what changed me around.
When I found out that I was a diabetic and stuff, I was like, I know it runs in my family. Find out I had it. I was like, oh God, I gotta take insulin. I gotta take this. I gotta take that. Then my sugar was up. I said, oh God, I gotta change my way of eating.
In fact, I had diabetes. I had to go through nutrition to learn how to live with diabetes and how to prepare my food for diabetes. And I actually did such a good job that I didn't have to take medication anymore. I had to learn how to prepare my food. I had to stop eating out. So if you got a health issue, you can't always be going out to eat. You have to prepare your own food to make sure you know what's going into your body.
It's amazing the things that you did not know or the things that you wouldn't dare think of eating until I had to start trying to be creative with food. The thing is, sometimes you want to straighten. It's okay. It's okay to mess up for a day. You can always straighten up tomorrow, okay? Because you are human.
I said, no, I'm not going to eat it. It's not going to taste right. But it was smelling good and stuff. But once I tasted it, oh, it was a big difference.
Welcome back to the People Power Lunch Hour Show. I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber. And today we are talking about food inequality and programs in the community that try to solve those problems and give people in Philadelphia access to healthy foods. With me in the studio, I'm joined by Evan Ehlers. He's the founder and director of Sharing Excess, and also Edgardo Bones and Alvaro Drake-Cortes, and they're from the Philadelphia Food Trust Healthy Corner Store Initiative. So I wanted to ask you all the same question, which is, what sort of sparked your interest or your passion for giving people access to food? Have you always done this work? And how maybe has it changed you in the process of doing this work? Evan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting because before I started this, I wasn't particularly philanthropic or, I really didn't volunteer a whole lot of my time. This was something that I feel like, almost happened out of destiny. When I had that first day of when I donated those meals, something just literally changed inside of me. And I can't even begin to describe how it's changed my life and how happy and fulfilled I am. This is something that, I think will go on to define my life. And I hope to do this forever because there really is no better feeling that I get than when I'm traveling with a whole bunch of food in my car and I know that I'm going to deliver that and people are going to eat it and I'm helping people who otherwise would not have had this assistance. That to me is truly the greatest of riches. And I want to pursue that for the rest of my life. And, I think I have a mission here to help other people also have that experience because it's been completely life-changing for me.
I read online that your organization has fed more than 15,000 people in Philadelphia and that your goal is to reach universities all over the United States.
Yep. That's our goal. Really what we're trying to do is create a model that can be replicated on campuses everywhere. We don't have all of the answers yet. We are still refining our model and we are still perfecting our operations. But what I think we have right now is a good idea and it's working. Now we just kind of need to figure out the details of how this can be replicated and how other students can pilot this and lead this in their own universities.
I think I want to connect you to the people who also organizing on campus who were on our People Power Lunch Hour show before, and they created a university model for a post-landfill organizing, so recycling program. So not only are students wasting food, but they're wasting all kinds of other furniture and supplies and things that they would throw out in the dumpster. And so they found a way to organize on Penn's campus and Temple's campus, and now they're doing this all over. So you all should join forces.
Totally.
No doubt.
I'm down.
And spread the message. So, Edgardo, what's it been like to connect with all these corner store owners and sort of see the difference that you're making in the community and maybe see how that's like transformed, them in the process how did you get into this, and how's it transformed you?
So for me, I wasn't necessarily involved in any food access work prior to coming on board to the food trust. Definitely come from a business background. My family owns a business as well. So when this opportunity presented itself, I saw myself kind of like being able to like understand both sides of the spectrum when we're talking about the entrepreneurs and we're talking about the consumers. So I felt that this was a great opportunity for me to be able to leverage the skills that I have in working with different people in different environments. I'm definitely a people person. I like being out on the street. So I didn't want to just be doing office work. So I like the balance of being able to have the formality of office work and being able to work on things on different levels from that aspect. But at the end of the day, getting down to the nitty gritty and getting in touch with people. And not just the owners themselves, but also the customers. So we're in store doing different work. We're also talking to customers that are asking what it is that we're trying to do. So being able to educate people about our initiatives and also just at the end of the day about their personal well-being is something that keeps me motivated. So I see myself that regardless of where it is I end up in life, I'm always going to be tied to some way, somehow in the food equity aspect.
And your family's business was actually is a restaurant, so you were kind of involved in food access, just not from this perspective of food justice.
Exactly. Puerto Rican food.
Yeah.
That's right. You got to represent.
Yeah.
So some of the key findings in a report that the Food Trust put together was that partnering with corner stores is an effective strategy to improve healthy food access, and that store owners have positively responded. They're willing to introduce healthy inventory, but they need the support and simple steps to follow, which you all provide, and that making small investments in equipment could significantly increase corner stores' capacity to sell healthy products. And overall, it was found to be a successful model for increasing the availability of healthy foods. So again, Alvaro, how did you get involved in this, and how does it feel to be part of this successful model for giving people access to healthy foods?
Thank you for asking. So I guess the way I got into this field was I was actually formerly an educator. I was an elementary school teacher. And the last school that I worked for, I helped them to institute a healthy lunch program. So I liaised the relationship between a restaurant organization here in Philadelphia and the school. And I helped them to implement this program where students would be served lunch family style. And I took that opportunity to sort of do a lot of nutrition education when we would have our lunch together. So I spent all of my time with my students. And lunch was no different. So we would actually have conversations around different foods and the fact that some of my students had not had access to different ingredients or different types of foods. And I found that oftentimes they would discard them without even trying them. So we would have conversations around, well, these things may not be something that you're used to, but you can get used to it, and they're healthy, they're good for your body. That's what piqued my interest in after that was that I don't have, I just want to be clear, I don't have scientific evidence. This is completely anecdotal. But I was aware that sugar levels, for example, bring your level of hyperactivity sort of up. I was aware that non-nutritious foods sort of have an impact in your behavior. And when we started instituting the Healthy Lunch Program, which was also actually a breakfast program, I got the sense, and again, this may have been my own impression, but I got the sense that my students' behaviors were maybe changing a little bit. And so my curiosity around this field was piqued. And that's sort of how I ended up, reaching out to the Food Trust to get involved in this kind of work, because I understood that they didn't have access, the type of access that I felt that everyone should have. That's how I got sort of involved with the Food Trust. And in terms of the Healthy Corner Store initiative, in a previous life to being as an educator, I was also in the military and I did some training. So the aspect of working with partner organizations and helping them to understand how to implement the model, sort of do train the trainer and teach them how to work with corner stores. And these are corner stores in communities that I grew up in, so I'm very familiar with. So it sort of brings me back home in a sense.
Thank you for sharing that. It's always nice to hear people's like inspiration, origin story, because a lot of us can relate to those things. So for our listeners and viewers out there, I want to read some statistics from a recent report from Hunger Free America, which, by the way, will be on People Power Lunch Hour in 2 weeks. But they found that 18.3%, nearly 1 in 5 Philadelphia residents, live in households that are food insecure. And that number is about 680,000 people. And that the number of Philadelphians struggling against hunger increased by 22% in the last 6 years and 50% in the last 10 years. And that over 50% of those adults are actually employed. So it's not all homeless people. And so with that, this is a call to action, right? There's a lot we can all do to help out and address this issue. There's so many great organizations here in the city that are working on that. Evan, tell people how they could help you out and get involved in your mission to feed people.
Yeah, so really, I want to bring students to the table here, to the conversation of how we can better address food insecurity in Philadelphia and also in universities everywhere. If you're a student out there and you care about stuff like this, please definitely reach out. We are looking to expand, especially in the Philadelphia area. We want to engage students that want to have an impact in their communities. It's really as simple as just starting your own chapter, and then we can get the process started. We're looking for more drivers also. So if you have a car and you have some free time and you'd like to be either a lead rescuer or just volunteer a couple of times, we'd be more than happy to accommodate. This is something that has changed my life, and I hope that I can help others to experience what I have been so fortunate to experience. So definitely check us out at sharingaccess.com and reach out. Feel free to email me. Very open. I'd love to talk and see how we can make an impact together.
Thanks for sharing that. So you heard it. If you want to get involved, especially if you're a student, make sure you check out sharingaccess.com. Okay, now the Food Trust is a big institution. They have a lot of programs. There's a lot of different ways you can get involved. So definitely check out the Food Trust organization. But Edgardo and Alvaro, tell them how corner store owners can get involved, and customers who maybe have a corner store in their neighborhood would like to see that. What can they do? Who can they contact?
So funny you mentioned we have a couple store owners that we definitely want to shout out, that definitely are part of our program, have been working with us for various years. So depending on what side of the city, part of the city you're at, we have West Philly Produce out off 62nd Street, south of Market, Good Neighbor on 49th and Woodland, El Soto in South Philly, CNA Tropical up in Mount Airy, Olivares on 17th and Wharton, and Abreu Super Deli up in the northeast off of 6059 Castle Avenue. All these owners are people who actively want to see the communities get better, also offer great produce at great prices as well, because we also understand too that you can have access to something, but if it's not affordable, then it's not gonna move, obviously depending on what market you're in. So once again, we ask that you just support your local business owners, and at the end of the day too, a lot of our business owners that we work with are people of color as well. So we definitely want to shout that out as well.
Yeah, and you're looking for volunteers, hiring. There's all types of ways to get involved.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just going to say that if store owners are interested in reaching out to us, and also if either volunteers or just youth that are passionate about this field and want to get involved, actually look at our website. We have a number of positions that we have available for you to come and intern, volunteer, as well as job opportunities. And of course, store owners, if they're interested, look at our website again, www.thefoodtrust.org, and reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to reach out to you and work together, hopefully.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for the work that you're doing, for spreading the knowledge and the love and giving people access to food. We certainly always appreciate people on the ground doing the good work in the community. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Joe Cox. He's running for city council and he is the founder of the Philadelphia PMA bike ride, Positive Mental Attitude Through Pizza. He has a really great story to share. Alvaro Drake-Cortes, Edgardo from the Healthy Corner Initiative, thank you for being on the show, and Evan Ehlers from Sharing Excess. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you.
for having us.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
You can eat, but it should be in moderation. If you have kids, you need to change your lifestyle for your kids. Even if you don't do it for yourself, who else is dependent on you?
Because everybody has a different understanding of what good food. Some people, good food is healthy food. And for me today, that's what good food is for me, healthy food. Because a lot of us, we go on how food tastes.
Oh, I'm embracing the fact that healthy food is what I need. I get it straight from a mother who's 100 years old as we speak. She taught me everything she knows. So I continue to do that with myself. Hopefully I can, as we say, encourage somebody else to do the same for themselves.
You know, but my religion teaches us that our body is a temple. And you gotta respect your body enough to know what it is that you're putting into your body. Read those nutritional labels on the package. That's telling you everything that's right in there. Telling you everything you need to know.
Like a lot of people say, I don't drink sodas. But you have these liters in your house for your kids to drink, so you might want to pull back on that. People say, I don't drink water. Find a way to make water a part of your life. You know, you need water. So if you have to put fruits and vegetables in your water to make it taste good, do that. Take water with you, substitute, sodas for water. Substitute sodas for tea. Try to do a little bit of healthy every now and then, but still have fun with your food. Make your food so colorful that you enjoy looking at it and eating it.
I eat food hoping to get some benefit out of the food. I understand that it's important. What I put into my body, that's what I'm going to get out of my body. Understanding that we have to eat stuff for the nutritional value in it, not just for how it tastes.
I can't cook for the world, but believe me, I can do it for me. And if I can do it for me, there's hope that you can do it for yourself. The recipe is simple. Start at A, end at eat.
Welcome back to the People Power Lunch Hour Show. I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber. And on today's show, we are talking about food inequality. And we're talking with people and organizations here in Philadelphia that are working to get people access to food. In the first half hour, we spoke with some folks from the Philadelphia Food Trust Healthy Corner Store Initiative, and also Evan Ehlers from Sharing Excess. And the second half hour, we'll be featuring conversation with Joe Cox. He is an activist here in Philadelphia, and he's also running for city council. But for the last couple of years, he's been doing this really amazing work called the PMA bike ride, which is all about positive mental attitude through pizza. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome back, I should say. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Pretty much over a sickness.
Well, I'm glad you could make it in to talk about some of the great work that you're doing. Similar to some of Evan's work, you actually are out there in the neighborhoods on your bike every week, just about giving people pizza. Tell us a little bit about PMA Bike Ride and how you started this project.
So I started PMA Bike Ride because I ride around throughout Philadelphia every day, and I see so many people that are down on their luck, and I saw a problem, and I decided to do something about it. Something that anybody can do. Anybody can get some pizza, go around and find some people that are hungry. And it's also it's a little bit, it's not just the feeding, it's more of a giving people acknowledgement and connection as people. Because so many people just walk by people when they're sitting on the sidewalk and don't even say anything to them. Somebody can be sitting there on that corner and have hundreds of people go by and not even give them so much as a nod. And so somebody a couple months ago, I said this a lot to people. That this quote, a guy named John that I give pizza to, he says, "It's not a gift to see it's not a gift to be invisible. It's a gift to see the invisible."
Yeah, and that's so true because especially here in Center City, there's a large homeless population, and it's a lot of the same people out there from day to day. And I mean, hundreds of people walk by them, not so much as a smile, a wave, an acknowledgement, or anything. And I talked to somebody who was, living outside, and she said, "You're the first person that's talked to me in days. Nobody has even acknowledged me. I thought I really was invisible," and that was really, jarring for me. So, I think everybody, whether or not you have any money or not, can afford to give a smile, say hello, and just talk to people like they're human beings.
Exactly.
So one of the other things you do is you collaborate with a lot of local pizza shops. How did they start getting involved in what you're doing?
Well, we mainly use Rosa's Pizza because Rosa's gives out pizza the first hour that they're open every day. We use Cacha's in South Philly because, well, they started. We met through them because a while ago we had the first time ever, and a group of kids from South Dakota came to Philadelphia. 100 kids came here to do a PMA bike ride, and on that day, Cacha's somebody knew them, and they donated 10 pizzas for that event. So we gave out 110 pizzas that day with 100 kids from South Dakota. That's how we made the connection with Cacha's. Rosa's, I just saw what they were doing, and I was trying to spread their mission and help them do what they're doing at the same time.
So can you tell me about this idea of positive mental attitude through pizza?
So I just believe it's very obvious that we're living in a world of way too much negativity, and I think everybody needs to be doing everything they can to be spreading positivity. And most people like pizza. It's a treat to most people. It's cheap. It's that you can find.
It's delicious.
Yeah, you can find a pizza store. Pretty. It's not very hard to find.
Yeah, they're all over.
So to me, when I picked pizza, it's giving out pizza to me is like saying we're equal. We're the same. Here you go. Like, I love pizza. I'm sure you probably love pizza. The thing I hear the most when we're giving out pizza, the thing I hear is right on time. Right on time. I hear that all the time. Like, I pull up and I'm yelling, "Free pizza! Anybody hungry? Free pizza!" And he says, "Are you serious? Oh man, I was so hungry. You came right on time."
There's a lot of hungry people out there, and they're not all homeless either.
Yeah, that's something I stress when and all my posts and everything. That, unlike a lot of other people, and sometimes when people share what I do, they like to put "I'm feeding the homeless," which I try to go more directly to the people that have signs that say they are hungry or they're cold or whatever. But I stress that I feed the hungry because not everybody realizes that there are tons of people that like the guys that were just here are doing, the people that are going to school. There's people that go to school that might go days without food. People are living in houses that are struggling to pay their rent, and they go days without food sometimes. Hungry doesn't have a look, and that's something a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, as I was mentioning before, again, if you're just tuning in or watching, listening to the People Power Lunch Hour, the reason why we wanted to talk about food inequality this month is because of a report that was released a few months ago from Hunger Free America that said nearly 1 in 5 Philadelphia residents live in households that are food insecure, and that the number of Philadelphians struggling against hunger has increased by 22%. And over 50% of food insecure adults in Philadelphia they're actually employed, right? So there's a lot of working people working minimum wage jobs, low wage jobs, college students, people of all races, all ages, all ethnicities. I think he was talking about students who go to school without breakfast. So this is an issue that affects everybody.
I haven't ate yet today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's just people that they're just hungry, and I think this is related to the poverty rate here in Philadelphia, right? Where it's, 25.7%, the highest among the nation's 10 largest city. So 400,000 city residents, including more than a third of the city's children, live below the poverty line. And so that's a lot of people, right? And I'm sure you get rid of all of your pizza every time.
Oh yeah.
There's never any extra leftover pizza.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard when I don't like if I have like 5 pizzas left and you're like I know where I can go and get rid of it right away because there's so many people. But you also don't want to go there with 5 pizzas and then there still be 10 people and they're like, I didn't get anything. I hate that feeling when I'm giving out like on Sunday I was giving out pizza in Jefferson Station and when people keep on coming and then you eventually you run out. And then I don't have any more to give, and it feels really bad when that ends up happening.
I'm sure the look on their faces is like what kills you,
Yeah, it always happens in Kensington. Kensington, when we go to Kensington, it goes so quick. We get rid of pizza usually in less than 15 minutes. 20 pizzas in 13 minutes a lot of times.
Wow.
It's insane, and people just keep coming, and I try to clean it up really quick so people don't come and think that we still have more. 'Cause I just rode here from Center City with 20 pizzas. I can only do so much, basically.
Well, for one person, you're definitely doing a lot. So I want to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to talk about what inspired you to run for city council, because, going out into the community, interacting with people, talking to them, I'm sure you learned a lot, heard a lot of feedback from people, and we'd like to know more about, what your interest is in running for city council and what sort of ideas you'd like to promote. So if you're just tuning in, you're watching and listening to the People Power Lunch Hour show here at PhillyCAM, and I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber, and I'm talking with Joe Cox. He is the founder of the Philadelphia PMA bike ride. He goes out into the communities, he delivers free pizza to anybody who's hungry, and he's also running for city council. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we come back. Stay with us.
I wish that we could be more sustainable in our own backyards. I grow amazing tomatoes. I grow all these different varieties of tomatoes, and backyard celery is amazing. It tastes so much different than grocery store celery. And you can get a pack of seeds for just a couple dollars.
Often I see times people don't have enough money to eat. I just want to make sure everybody gets a nice meal and a nutritious meal. That's just my way of making sure everybody's taken care of.
It was sort of a dream. We originally thought maybe we could bring kids out to farms in the country and spend a week or spend a season. And then I realized, why not just bring them right down the street? It's a way to learn about the environment, it's a way to learn about fresh food, it's a way to learn about working in a team and community, just a way to be outside. It's a beautiful place.
So you grow your own food, and it's cheap and it's better. And I think it's important for us to maintain biodiversity, to stay close to our food chain. Kids love it. Kids come to my garden all the time, and I have to stop them almost from eating the grass because they just want to eat everything that's in the yard.
I just want to zoom in on helping people, feeding people, and just try to put a smile on their face.
You're making sure that people know enough to make wise choices. So, if they grow it and they get to know it, they might love it. And if they love it, they might take care of it. They're not going to take care or care about the environment or care about the food system or care about their bodies if they don't even know that they have options.
Where I live is sort of a melting pot because it's all different ages and all different types of people, different cultures, different race. And it'll be good to see, everybody come together, as one. We all can add a little something to the pot.
Welcome welcome back. I'm your host, Vanessa Maria Graber, and you're watching and listening to the People Power Lunch Hour Show. On today's show, we're discussing food inequities here in Philadelphia, and we've been talking to people and organizations that go out into the community and facilitate access to foods. And in the second half hour, I've been talking with activist Joe Cox. He is the founder of the Philadelphia PMA Bike Ride. PMA stands for Positive Mental Attitude Through Pizza, and goes out into the community and feeds people, anybody that's hungry. Joe is also running for city council at one of the city council at-large seats. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide to run for city council.
Well, I decided to run for office. Over the years, many people have asked me if I was going to run for some sort of elected position. I was really involved in abolishing PARs. I did a lot of the protesting in this summer, and that when we ended it, I was on featured on the Instagram of Larry Krasner. There was a picture of him clapping in front of me. And then that made me think more about that, so I made a post about it, asking others what they thought. So many people that don't believe in voting told me that they would vote for the first time if I ran. So that made me really decide that I should do it, because if people think that I have enough passion and believe in me that much that they wouldn't normally vote, but they're gonna vote for me now. That made me decide that I should do it. But riding around throughout Philadelphia and seeing the conditions of Philadelphia, I believe we're living in a state of emergency, and it doesn't seem like Philadelphia, the elected officials are not listening to its citizens. They're listening to the people who have the big bucks, like Comcast and Amazon. They don't seem to be listening to the people that are living under bridges and people that are struggling and working over 40 hours a week and still possibly not having a roof over their head, or still not being able to eat. So, and we got parents that are sending their kids to schools and that their kids are coming home sick. These conditions should never exist in America. It makes no sense. It's disgusting. I believe that we are living in a state of emergency when kids can't go to school safe. Let alone, the violence, but they can't go to school without getting sick. We need to be putting more counselors in our schools and taking some of these cops out. If kids have counselors to talk to, don't you think there's going to be less violence happening throughout Philadelphia? The amount of the statistic of the murder rate in Philadelphia is right around the same as it is of those that are dying on the street. It's asinine that is happening in our city.
So you feel compelled to take action. I can totally understand that. I just wanted to go back to something you said before to clarify for our listeners. Joe was involved in organizing against the PARS agreement, and PARS is an agreement that the city of Philadelphia had with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, to share information in a database. And there was a huge effort and a movement by immigrants' rights organizations and other social justice activists to demand that the city break ties with ICE in that way and terminate the agreement. And as a result of lobbying, putting out information, direct actions, protests, and a small occupation of City Hall even, Mayor Kenny finally decided to end that agreement. And so we had on People Power a few months ago Blanca Pacheco from the New Sanctuary Movement who talked more about that. And so that's where I first also met you, when I was going to the protests as well and filming them. And I said, who is this guy with the bicycle and the dogs and the pizza? I like this guy. I want to know more about him. And so you mentioned going into Kensington earlier, which I think is kind of a place everybody in Philly should go and spend some time in. It's a neighborhood people stay away from. They want to look away from it. They want to pretend it's not there. But I think people really need to go there and spend time there in order to understand the state of emergency that you mentioned.
Yeah, I some Philadelphians might not have ever been to Kensington, which is sad. People really need to step out of their comfort zone and see what is going on in our city. Our council person just on Friday was celebrating kicking those people out of their man-made shelters underneath the bridge. They're celebrating kicking people out in freezing temperatures. It's crazy to me that we're celebrating the fact that we're taking these their belongings and everything that they own and telling them to go. Just they're fleeing them, pushing them further north. So they've evicted the Lehigh and not Lehigh and Kensington was one of the ones.
Oh yeah,
further
Kensington Avenue was like the first encampment, and then that was bulldozed and evacuated, and again hailed as a victory. And then, you know, I spend a lot of time right near that neighborhood. It was probably like maybe 2 weeks, if that, later, that the same encampment and many more popped up on Emerald Street, and that's been there for a while. And so just recently during the polar vortex, like freezing cold temperatures, the city came again and bulldozed all that stuff out and cleared it out. It's still clear as of now, but the reason why people are there is because there's a opioid crisis, and you know, it's caused many of them to you know, not be able to work and live outside. I mean, there's many reasons, but one of the things that I noticed you know, in driving by there quite frequently is that there's always people like yourself who are giving out clothes and supplies and food, and almost always they're like in their own vehicle or they're on a bike as well. And I'm struck that, you know, that it's mostly individuals who have taken this up, this charity work and outreach, and I don't see a lot of and this is just, you know, my cursory look at the thing. I don't see a lot of other agencies there spending time doing that same work. That it's everyday people like yourself who are reaching out to that community and helping them. Have you seen a lot of that as well?
I mainly see small like groups like myself, churches. I don't really see any city type groups that are coming in to help people, to actually help people. I see I see the evictions when they push them away and send them further north. And then they set up a little at Kensington and Lehigh right now. It looks like as soon as the weather gets nice, there's probably going to be a one of those beer gardens. Mm-hmm. It's all set up, ready to go. It's got its own name and everything.
So certainly there's a relationship between the gentrification of neighborhoods like East Kensington and Fishtown, and then people being pushed further north into Kensington and Port Richmond.
That's why that's basically a huge reason why they're pushing them out, so they can build their developments as soon as possible.
What's your hope for this campaign? Because I think there's a lot to be accomplished in just a campaign and spreading awareness. What are some of the ideas that you want to put forth out there for the city council race and hope to get people maybe excited about?
Well, I really want the city to be listening to the interest of street citizens and everyday workers, and that means we have meetings with those specific people, listen to them. I really want to push for public bathrooms because that affects everybody. I've had to use the bathroom on myself, and I have a job, but you have to think about people that don't have money to when they actually find a bathroom, running 5 blocks and to find a bathroom, then they have to spend money. The bathrooms in the city should be equitable to everybody, not just everyday people. Street citizens should have equitable access to public bathrooms. It should be a public right. I mean, people talk about how the city smells and the subways stink. To me, what do you expect? To me, the city is telling you to pee on it because there's no bathrooms. It's the same thing with the trash cans. It's the city's like, hey, trash us. Just keep trashing it away because there's no trash cans anywhere. Maybe in Center City, like you can find trash cans on the blocks, but once you get out, like away from off South Street or past Spring Garden or whatever, you can't find any trash cans anywhere. It doesn't make any sense why the city only seems to care about the one pocket of Center City where the big money's at, Comcast and the big corporations like that.
Yeah, and tourism, which they've also been trying to expand. So Joe identifies as a democratic socialist, which again, brings a whole other set of ideas to the race. And we'll certainly be following the city council race here at PhillyCAM. But since we're here to talk about food, I'd love for you to tell our viewers and our listeners how they can help with the PMA bike ride, because I see you always let people know where you're going and you invite people to join you. What can folks do if they were interested in helping out?
You can go to the PMABikeRide.com. If you go there, everything is listed. We have the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all right there. Type in the PMA Bike Ride. You can find everything you need to find. Our minimum schedule is the first Sunday of the month, 1 p.m. in West Philadelphia, 4 p.m. South Philadelphia. The last Saturday of the month, we go to Kensington. And at 5 p.m., we go to Center City. That's the minimum. Sometimes we do some extra events here and there, but we really need help with funding to do extra like that. A lot of times, a lot of it's coming right out of my pocket right now because funding is hard.
And pizza places can also reach out to you to donate pizza.
Yeah,
we would love to see more pizza.
Yeah.
And question, do folks who want to volunteer and help, do they need a bicycle to be able to ride a bicycle?
Well, the West and South Philly are a lot more bike centric, but every event you don't need a bike. West and South, there you could hang out at the West where we sit out there for a minute and help us, and South you could hang out on Broad and Snyder and help us there for a little bit. The Kensington one we don't even move. Just come to K&A and you can help us hand out pizza and give out love. And Center City, there's a lot of areas that are really close by that you can easily hit on foot. So you definitely don't need a bike. And in all our posts that we put that if you don't have a bike, you can get an Indigo bike. But we will we'll help you get that bike if you're lacking the funds to get the Indigo bike.
All right, so those are all the ways that you can get involved, and you can always show up with pizza. That would be much appreciated as well. And water or anything else you want to contribute, paper plates or napkins. Those are all things that probably be appreciated as well.
Yeah, we also give out like blankets and gloves and anything that anybody out there that's going through a tough time could use.
Joe Cox, I want to thank you so much for all the work that you do, for spreading love and pizza out in the community. And thanks for being on our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, you can find Joe Cox and PMA Bike Ride online. Again, you can check out their Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They're on all the mediums. Thanks again for everybody who watched and listened to this edition of the People Power Lunch Hour show. And if you'd like to check out this show and all of our episodes or find out more about PhillyCAM, you can go to our website at phillycam.org. We'll be back in 2 weeks with an all-new episode with folks for Hunger Free America. Thanks for watching and listening.